Hey, I'm Chris with PearsonCopy.com, and I'm here to make your brand more sales with email. As part of my 100 emails in 100 days breakdown challenge, I'm going to be breaking down a welcome email from the brand Rowdy Mermaid. I saw this email, or I saw an ad in Facebook for some of their products. Came across those ads, clicked through, checked out their site, and I believe this company is out of Denver, which is just south of where I'm at. So I thought I'd sign up to their list, see what they've got going on, and break down an email for them. With that being said, that's the context of this. It's a welcome email, and I'll go ahead and dive in and break this one down for you guys. So we'll start with the subject line. This is the first email I got from them after signing up for the list. The subject line here is "It's time to get rowdy." I really like the subject line. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it gives you an idea of what this brand is all about and what to expect when you open their emails or engage with their brand in general. So I think they're just from the subject line alone, their brand voice and their positioning and who they are to the customer is pretty clear. Pretty clear. So yeah, with that being said, the theme of "It's time to get rowdy" continues through the email. They have their brand name, Rowdy Mermaid Kombucha, here as the name, info@rowdymermaid.com, email address. I think it's a good setup for what they're doing. I think this works well. I would, as I've said in other videos, would test the idea of maybe Rowdy Mermaid or having like a mascot or some kind of persona or something facing the customer, between the customer and the brand, just because with later in this email, they talk about being an honorary mermaid, or merman, merfolk, merperson. And I think that going a little bit more personal with the emails, with who they come from and how they're written, might actually work really well for this brand, which is a pretty big brand. I've seen them in stores like Sprouts and things like that. So I think it would actually work pretty well. Similar to brands like Dr. Squatch, where they have like a mascot or a persona that is out front between the brand and the customer. I think Rowdy Mermaid might be able to take advantage of that if they haven't already done that with other emails that I just haven't gotten yet. So that's one thing. I think the personality and the brand voice and things like that could benefit from having like a persona. So so that's the from name and the email address. The first piece here, the first graphic here is Rowdy brand name, and they've got a menu, home, shop, and store locator. In this case, I think the menu makes sense. This is the first email. And if people are shopping or joining the list and they want to shop, they can go to these items, like shop or store locator, because they are in stores in the U.S. And potentially other places I haven't looked yet, but I know they're in the U.S. So with that being said, this makes sense because before I knew that they had an email list, before they had a website, things like that, I saw them in the store. So that was my first contact, first impression with this brand. So that might make sense if I went to their site, signed up for the list, and said, okay, now I'm gonna get the emails from them. Having a menu here might make sense. The other thing I would test here is just to remove the menu entirely and potentially remove the brand name at the top. It's time to get rowdy and Rowdy Mermaid Kombucha. That is enough to let people know, hey, you're getting an email from Rowdy Mermaid. And as if you watch any of my other videos, I do prefer plain text to start with plain text, get the message right, get the offer right, get the audience right, and then maybe test into design. But I do prefer plain text. It does typically outperform most design layout based emails. So yeah, I would just test this and maybe remove the menu, leave the brand name. That's fine. Howdy from Rowdy. So again, continuing with the fun aspect, the fun part of the brand, being rowdy, the idea that when you are enjoying this brand, this product, you're going to be having a good time. So I think the brand voice is spot on with this email so far. The copy has been pretty consistent from the subject line all the way down to this "Howdy from Rowdy" headline. Next, we've got an image with their product line, with the products here. I think is great. Looks clean. Fits the email well. After that, we move into the actual, not actual, but some more copy. I'm going to read this to you because I think it's a great line. It's a great piece of copy. And I think that this is inspiring the idea of having like a persona for the brand as opposed to just a brand name. So yeah, let me read this for you. You may now consider yourself an honorary mermaid or merman, merfolk, merperson. Now that you're an official Rowdy insider, you have a lot to look forward to. New flavors, exciting product announcements, exclusive promos and giveaways, inspiration about how to live rowdy, and updates on the Rowdy Journal. So taking the idea of being an honorary mermaid and tying that to a persona that's actually giving that honorary award or certification or induction, whatever you want to call it, I think might mean a little bit more for people that are actually joining the list. It might it'll give it a more personal touch, and it'll give them an idea of who they're actually speaking to or who they think of when they're actually thinking of Rowdy Mermaid, right? So one, they're rowdy mermaids, etc. But the person that represents the brand it might give them a deeper connection with the brand as they're drinking. Or if they're telling somebody about the brand, they can say, oh yeah, and so emails me every week about the brand, and they tell me funny stories and talk about ingredients, and they show us what's happening actually around the world with the drink and the brand, and it just feels like an adventure that you can go with, right? So they're going to tell their friends about the brand, but the feeling they get from the brand, obviously, but tying a person or persona to that makes it way easier for customers to actually describe the brand, and actually create stories and talk about the brand to other people, so they can be your essentially your advocates, right? Your advocates to sell your brand. So yeah, that's where that personality piece is inspired from. Is just this two lines right here, these two lines right here. So, but yeah, the next piece I already read it. The new flavors, this bullet list. That's what to expect from, or what to expect while on the list. So this is the stuff that Rowdy Mermaid said they're going to send you. I think this is great. I also think you could add a few more items to this list. One, like reviews and testimonials, user generated content from social. This is a social drink. People can drink this while they're being social. They might drink it after workout or before workout, whatever their reason is. If they're going to share it on social and tag people and tag your brand, we can pull that into emails and say, hey, look at what so and so in Michigan is talking about. Look at what so and so in Florida is talking about while they're drinking our product or enjoying our product. That's gonna create some social proof. It's gonna be user generated content, and it's gonna show people that are not yet customers that they should join and actually be an honorary mermaid, right? And or show the customers that have already purchased that they made the right decision, and you're going to be justifying that over and over again with all the social proof that, like, yes, you chose the right group. These are our people. This is who drinks it, and this is what you do while you're drinking. And so that right there, I think adding that social proof and UGC in, the UGC user generated content in, is going to be could be a huge email. Another one too would be like behind the scenes, like you're talking about here, exciting product announcements, but that's going to be like, hey, a product's available in next week. You should buy it when we launch it. Great, that's fine. But like, what happens behind the scenes? Like, what is your brand and business doing to develop these new flavors, these new drinks, these new products, etc.? The behind the scenes stuff might actually pull people in more, because if they're an honorary mermaid, they want to be part of the group, part of the in crowd, and you tell them about what's going on the list. That type of information they're going to talk about to other people. They're going to share across the internet and say, hey, Rowdy Mermaid's doing X, Y, and Z. If you're on their list, you'd find out no. It's going to grow your list. It's going to get more sales, because they're sharing their own insider information, right? So yeah, behind the scenes stuff. And then yeah, it looks like inspiration about how to live rowdy. The journal, that's just another name, I believe, for a blog feed. So I went to their blog feed, and that it looks like that's where it links to. But I think it's an interesting hashtag, an interesting way to introduce the blog. So a lot of people say, hey, here's an article, here's a blog, here's a post. But a journal entry, or how to live rowdy, like there's a goal behind the journal, there's a goal behind the blog feed, which is great. And I think that you don't even have to put the whole article in the email. You can say, hey, if you're in the process of doing X, Y, and Z, here's an article on how to do it better. Or here's a list of ways to live rowdy while you're in Florida on the beach, or in Oregon in the mountains, or etc. That type of stuff, I think people are going to enjoy that, because it's a lifestyle, not just a product, right? So that I would include and definitely go in depth on, like, writing clicker emails for that, as opposed to just sharing the whole article, and just see which one actually gets more engagement and more clicks to get them on the site, and potentially which one gets more revenue. It is going to be a value-based, like education or even entertainment type email, but those could still be last click attribution for sales. So I would test that pretty in depth with those emails. And then yeah, so I think overall sharing what to expect, did a pretty good job. Maybe mention how often you're going to email them, because I see that's been left out of, like, hey, we're going to email you once a week, or we're going to email you every 2 weeks, or we're only going to email you when we have an announcement, a giveaway, or a new article that we're going to send. And we usually write articles once a month, or every week, or every couple of days, or something. Giving people that time frame or duration pre-frames them to come back and look for emails in their inbox. That helps a ton. As small as it may sound or may seem, giving somebody that pre-frame of, like, when to come back and see our stuff helps. And it gets them back in the inbox. It gets them looking for your brand. So I would just add that section in there for what to expect, is when you guys are going to be sending emails, and potentially how often you're going to be sending them. Moving down the email here, we have the sign off, the mermaids. So this is brand focus. It's group focus, which is great. If we do test into the personality piece with this honorary mermaid, merfolk, merperson, and have a persona for the brands, I would make the persona name here for the sign off. So that's the only difference here. I think having the mermaids, stay rowdy, the mermaids, as part of a group, or like a band, or a collection of people, that's fine. That's great. Maybe, yeah. So that's I think it's a good move there. Next piece, you have your shop now, which is CTA, which is great. And then you have 3 products here. I'd imagine these are the best sellers. I'd imagine these may be the most popular, something like that. If not, I would suggest making these your most popular bestsellers that get people into the brand that most people like. If they haven't if the person who's joined your list hasn't shopped your site yet, or if they've already joined and they shopped your site, making it custom to what they've looked at in these product feeds is huge. While this is the welcome emails, the first email somebody gets when they join, I would make these your most popular and say, hey, these are the 3 most popular, and get them into one of them, because if they like one of them, they're going to try another one, and so forth. You play the 80-20 game, right? Like 20% of your flavors are going to do 80% of your sales. Typically, in most cases, that ratio happens. So take 20% of your flavors that everybody likes and put them here so people can try them and get to the brand. And then you have your Facebook, social, Instagram, your footer information, etc. So, yeah, pretty short email, pretty sweet. Pretty short and sweet. And the 2 big takeaways here is, one, I would consider testing into a persona for the brand, just to give people a little bit more of an emotional connection. Give them something to talk about or connect their emotions to the brand with instead of just the drink, so they can actually talk about a quote unquote person or persona. Even if they're not drinking something, they can talk about it, right? They can say, oh, so and so from Rowdy Mermaid said this, and da da da, and it's a conversation piece, right? You enter the conversation literally because they're talking about it. The second big thing, I would say, is test the email as just plain text. Take the images out, take the quote unquote branding out. When it comes to visual design, not voice, but keep the voice, and maybe do a little bit more here with the copy, and just speak to and use the voice of a Rowdy Mermaid, and just maybe use some humor, maybe use some self-deprecation, or just something to give that feel of being a Rowdy Mermaid. Or maybe you talk about the machine or the system, or go against what everybody else is doing in the drink industry, and like why you go against it. So yeah, the personality thing is the persona thing is the one thing I would test with this. And then 2, I would test going all plain text and leaning into the personality of the brand, and just going hard on that, and making your brand and your drink stand out from everybody else that's selling something similar, if not the same or similar. Make you stand out because of that copy. So that's what I would test. Those are the 2 big things. Yeah. So with that being said, I've got other videos on my YouTube channel. Please go check those out. Go watch those. Pull the insights from those. Take those back to your brand. Use them. Make some more sales with email. If you get some results with the insights you found here, please let me know. I'd really enjoy talking to you and getting an understanding of how you did that and what worked. And then yeah. So with all that being said, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good one.